Howdy y'all, I hope you guys are all doing well, I hope you guys are safe, and I hope you guys are healthy. So, part 2 of California trip vlog. So we've got a couple of things planned for the rest of the time that we're here. This morning we're going to go to Huntington Garden, which is just a gigantic botanical garden. So hopefully we can get some really cool things there, maybe get a fit pick there with some plants. After that, later on in the day, I mean obviously I'll show you what we're eating, what we're doing, but later on tonight we actually have a concert to go to. A concert for Joyce Manor, Tiger's Jaw, Turnover, right? Turnover's going, right?
Yeah, I don't know who the other one is.
Yeah, so some like indie, shoegazy type of music. Probably not gonna get a lot of footage there, but definitely going to at least show you guys what we're doing here. In regard to the next day, or our last day here, we're gonna go to Melrose Trading Post, see if I can find some cool vintage stuff, and walk around Fairfax a little bit, kind of show you guys what's out here if you've never been to LA before. Melrose and Fairfax are definitely one of the biggest and most prolific clothing or streetwear vintage areas in LA, and I've been before, but I'm excited to go every single time because it's always different. So, if you like what you watch, feel free to subscribe if you don't mind, and leave a like, leave a comment. Let's get right into it. Real quick, Brian.
Yeah.
What you wearing?
So I have the North Face Gucci, the Balenciaga sneakers, wallet, and then I have my Balenciaga.
Woo! The little bag is from Dover Street Market, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is the end of day 3. Long day, but great day. The concert actually was really, really good. If you guys haven't heard of them, the main 3 bands that I went to this concert for were Tiger's Jaw, Turnover, and Joyce Manor, all of which I love very much and highly suggest you guys look up if you guys like kind of like rock music, indie music. Turnover is a little bit of shoegaze, a little bit of like indie shoegaze, I guess you could call it. But I did end up actually grabbing a t-shirt from Joyce Manor. It's just a white t-shirt that has a very bright orange graphic. And this is actually the self-titled album, because this is their 10th anniversary of their self-titled album. Usually I will grab like some merch whenever I go to a concert, just to kind of commemorate that time that I've been there. And so a lot of the band tees that I have are associated with the memory, which is, I mean, you know, assigning a little too much meaning to a piece of clothing, but I love it nonetheless. Next, or at least tomorrow morning, we're going to be going to Melrose Trading Post and walking around Melrose and Fairfax. So a lot more clothing related than today. Let's get into day 4, final day. All right, last day here in LA, more so half day. So I'm gonna get some coffee, get a little bit of a pastry maybe. Been a good trip so far. I know I'm saying that like every single time I like cut to talk, but it truly has been a really good trip so far. I love LA every single time I come. The only thing about LA that I am not a particular fan of is the traffic, but I mean, hey, that's kind of unavoidable in a sense. Hi, April. Brian and his fiance Polly won't be joining us just yet, but you'll probably see them later on in the vlog. While I'm walking and while I got a little bit of time, I just wanted to go ahead and address something. Going to a concert last night, and I just wanted to address like kind of the safety of it all, safety of going to a concert. You're still able to enjoy yourself out here, and so long as, you know, you take your own precautions and you try to be as safe as possible, I'm still able to be out here and enjoy myself. The entire time I was wearing a mask, particularly a KN95 or 94, don't really remember which one this one is, but I wore an elevated mask, April wore an elevated mask. Just tried to stay as distanced away from the other people as possible. Obviously that's not really gonna work out all that well, just because there's so many people at a concert. However, we are both fully vaccinated, my friends are fully vaccinated. It's okay to enjoy yourself if you take your own like kind of safety precautions. And that's what I kind of want to preach on my social media, is that life isn't over just because this pandemic's around. Take the necessary precautions, do your part, and you're able to kind of live your life as normally as possible. Stay safe out there, guys.
Bagel sandwiches, bagel sandwiches.
Wow.
All right, so we're at Melrose Place right now, where there's a little bit of a farmer's market. I don't know if it happens every Sunday, but there's a lot of like local vendors selling fresh produce and foods and whatnot, and we decided to get some onigiri. This one actually has spicy chicken, like has gochujang, bean sprouts. It's actually really, really good. And what I wanted to say about it is that, so they make it at home and then they bring it cold to the actual like farmer's market, and they suggest that you warm it up, but eating it, it was really interesting because it was kind of like the rice was a little hard, a little stale, and usually people would consider that a bad thing, but eating it kind of gave me nostalgia for. So the rice is like a little stale because it is like cold, and he told me to microwave it, but eating it just like right away was really interesting because it's like it kind of gave me the feeling of like it was packed by my mom, and I brought it to school and I had no way to heat it up at school, so I just kind of like ate it as is. I know it's very specific and it's kind of weird, but no, it's just delicious in the way that it tastes like it came from home. And that's what I really like about farmers markets too. Like there's so many people selling things that they either grew, they made, and no, I know I'm like kind of overvaluing this whole thing, but it's delicious and fun. So definitely always buy from like local people at farmers markets and whatnot. It is just so good.
Bub, come over here. I don't want to get stranded.
How are you guys?
How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
It looks
See,
good.
myself.
Even the whole fit looks good.
And you see how my mask fit?
All right, real quick, I just wanted to show you guys what I picked up at Melrose Trading Post. For some reason, I was obsessed with a lot of military stuff today, so I was able to get this right here. Vietnam War era shirt with a nice little striped pattern there. I was able to grab that for about 45 bucks from a dude who actually was already following me on Instagram, which is really cool. So shout out Ghetto Rodeo. I'll leave his ad on the screen right now. And I got one more thing. It is a '50s military trench coat. Really cool in this kind of like lighter satin kind of material, which is a whole lot better for Vegas just because it's a little bit lighter weight than other trench coats. And on the back, just has some old print right there. And I was able to get this for 90 bucks. So definitely like really, really good deals there. And honestly, just like talk to the vendors and just have a conversation, because a lot of times they'll either have a story of how they got it or what they know about it. So yeah. All right, so just to talk a little bit more about Melrose Trading Post that we were at earlier today, I really enjoy vintage shopping. I haven't been doing too much of it lately just because I'm trying to accumulate less, trying to get rid of things. I'm moving out at the end of the year, so I'm trying my best to try and keep my purchases low. It's not working very well. It's not working very well at all, because whenever I do find something too good to be true or too good, and I don't usually find it, I buy it anyway. But Melrose Trading Post was great. It was cool to see such an amalgamation of things, and I know the only like thing like I guess like above it that trumps Melrose Trading Post is Rose Bowl. I've been to the Rose Bowl flea market. It's like, I don't know, have you ever been?
No, I haven't been there yet.
Okay, so the Rose Bowl is just like the Melrose Trading Post, just, I would say like 3 times bigger.
That's huge.
It's so big. It's really cool, but honestly, it takes
A day.
yeah, at least half a day to be able to go through things. Probably a full day if you really want to kind of dig. And that one's interesting because they open really early in the morning, and a lot of people go really early in the morning. Say if they're like, they own vintage stores themselves, or like it's kind of where they get their stock. Which
Makes sense.
I really enjoy going to these flea markets and stuff, just because when you go ahead and talk to the vendors, a lot of them either have a story, a lot of them, if they're not like overly business oriented, they'll actually like kind of chop it up with most people. Sometimes if you chop it up with some people, they'll be like more inclined to give you a better price.
Yeah.
Which is dope. And you can find some like real gems there. I personally look for like military wear. I don't really care much for sneakers anymore, so I don't really look for sneakers.
I like cameras. Cameras are cool.
Cameras at vintage flea markets are all like, there's always a ton of them.
They are very popular, but you have to be careful when you're there. So I was looking at some of the cameras they had. They had a Kodak, no, it was a Pentax K1000, or was it a Canon? Or something. But they reskinned it from the leather to like a cork material. It wasn't done very well, but I liked the look of it, so I asked how much he wanted for it. He wanted $380 for it, which was very steep. And you know,
especially for something that was like refurbished.
Exactly, you don't even know if it works. A lot of the times, sometimes those are kind of gambles that you have to take, and it's just not something that you'd want to purchase without doing your research first and taking a look. And definitely open her up, take a look at the mirrors, all of the functions, make sure that they're clean. Take off the lens, see those actions, make sure that those are good. These are all things you need to think about when trying to purchase any vintage electronics, especially cameras and things like that.
Oh, I think it's actually the same with clothing. I mean, obviously you're not looking for like the inner workings, but when you're looking at vintage clothing, it's really, really good to know what exactly you're looking at to be able to date things. Sometimes graphic tees that are old will actually have the year stamped onto there. If it's, I mean, if it's real vintage, you can tell. And knowing exactly what you're looking for when you're looking at it at these flea markets, not everybody is going to take advantage of you, but there are possibilities of a lot of sellers that are just going to sell you some BS because they want to make a quick buck. And it's a very good idea to stay informed about what you're looking for and what you're looking at, just so that you can basically protect your wallet.
Yep. Very, very important.
And it's also really, really, really important for you to spend your money wisely. Whenever I go to a vintage store or vintage flea market, I'm always like, oh my gosh, the first booth I see that has something really cool, I love it and I want to buy it. But keep in mind, there's an entire like area for you to look through, and so don't spend all of your money in one place. And if at all possible, if it's something that can possibly sit for a little bit, come back and circle back later if it's not something that is too sought after. Alright, another place that I wanted to talk about. I had the pleasure of going to the Rick Owens store on Melrose. It is kind of hidden. It's out of the way from other stores, but honestly, if you like Rick Owens, if you like
clothing. Yeah,
if you like clothing in general, Rick Owens, if you like interior design, if you like just that stuff in general.
If you like bubbles.
Yes. At the very least, visit. The workers actually were really welcoming, which I was really surprised about. That Rick Owens were like pretty welcoming. It was kind of surprising a little bit. That's just me being overly nervous about talking to high-end or luxury retail workers. But yes, it is beautiful in there. It is amazing. Is it expensive? Everything is pretty much retail. Didn't see any sales going on at the moment. It's crazy expensive, but the whole experience itself of being there was something special for me personally.
No one's getting...
Hey, Polly, can I see your bag? Alright, so quick update on the rest of the trip. just dropped off my girlfriend April and Brian's fiance Polly at the airport to go back home to Vegas. Brian and I are just going to take the car back home, and honestly, we're just chilling in LA traffic, moving at what, 14 miles an hour it looks like.
I hate traffic.
That's literally the only bad part of LA. Well,
Yeah.
I would,
Pretty much,
yeah, pretty much, yeah. LA traffic is just,
Food prices are high,
that's true.
but
That's
like
true.
street tacos for $1.50 each, you can't beat that though.
Yeah, you
Can't
can definitely find really good food. I mean, for pretty decent prices, depending on what you're used to. Being from Las Vegas, it's not that different.
beat. Yeah.
I mean, there are certain things, like obviously like fish quality and sushi and stuff are gonna be normally better here in LA, typically. But I don't know, I think like the sheer size of LA is very, very daunting. A lot of times whenever I would come to LA, I never would realize how big this place was and how slow travel moved. And I didn't I didn't realize this until I became an adult and actually drove myself.
33 minutes to go 5 miles.
33 minutes to go 5 miles
That's
is insane. That's ridiculous.
Especially if you're downtown, you want to get to anything. You want to get from Fashion District to like Walt Disney Theater, it's going to take you 20 minutes because of all the traffic, all the one-way streets. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's busy here.
Yeah, and I mean that's to be expected because it's a big city and it's like no different from any bigger cities like New York or Chicago or San Francisco. But it's just the sheer amount of people is so apparent when you come to LA. And it's just like kind of funny to see, to be honest with you. But thankfully, I mean, I personally love living in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
You know, Las Vegas has basically everything that LA has to offer, but less people, cheaper price. You know, it's getting up there. The price of Vegas is actually going up quite a bit now that we're getting sports teams and whatnot, but I actually quite enjoy Vegas. I know a lot of people who live in Vegas don't very much like it at all, and they get kind of like, they're like, oh, I want to leave Vegas, but growing up there, it really is home, you know? And it's able to be home. I know a lot of people who don't live in Vegas always think of the Strip and partying and bars and stuff like that, but a vast majority of Vegas is actually all suburbs.
Yeah. It's busy when you want it to be, and you can choose. That's the beauty of it. You can still choose when to go into these areas, because like the food is good. There's a lot of places to go. But one thing I noticed about the people here in LA is they're all willing. They all have their own hustle, and they're all willing to like talk to you about it, which I like.
Yeah.
Like they're not secretive. They're really trying to do what they want to do out of life, and that's kind of really cool, you know?
Yeah, my personal opinion is that big cities like LA, San Francisco, New York are great for people who are young, don't really have families, don't really plan on settling down for a while, and if they're working on themselves, they're working on careers, they're working on whatever they need to work on, these big cities are great places to find opportunity and to, I guess, establish a basis for what you're going to be doing for your life.
And like another thing is, have you noticed that whenever we go into these stores, the associates really do have a passion about what they're talking about. Like,
oh yeah,
when we went to APC earlier, he was really talking about the denim, and when you went back to the fitting room, started talking to his coworker about getting the denim and actually putting it notes together. He was like, you know, somebody else asked me about black denim. We really have to get this going. So let's just write a letter, get it signed, and send it up. See what they say, you know?
Yeah, they seem a whole lot more proactive and a whole lot more involved as opposed to like Vegas retail work. And personally, I know this is a very unpopular opinion for a lot of people. Personally, I loved working retail, and I think it's because I tried my best to kind of bring that same attitude of like being excited about what you sell. Now, LA is such an interesting place. There's such a big diversity of people, and no, honestly, I love every single time I come. All right, I didn't expect to actually do anything here, but one of the last things that we wanted to do in LA is go to the Westfield Mall in Century City. Beautiful, beautiful place. Unfortunately, I didn't get any footage there just because I didn't think it'd be really anything special. But I ended up actually making one last purchase while I was here, and I bought something that I've been looking for a while, and I really wanted to find it in person so that I could try it on, get the sizing just right. And everybody knows Birkenstocks, but not too many people really know about the Birkenstock Kyoto. Beautiful shoe, just kind of like a slide obviously, but with just a little bit more detail to it. It's partially suede, partially kind of a leather here on top, mostly all black. Love it. I spent a lot of money in California, but it's okay, I'm on vacation. I'll use that as my justification. But now we are making our way home. All right, so it's not a trip to California if you don't get a little bit of In-N-Out Burger. I know we have it in Vegas, but I personally love In-N-Out Burger. Nice and cheap, nice and good burger. But it's gonna be the end of this trip. We're almost home. I don't know, what is it, another like 2.5 hours?
Wow.
Yeah, so on the way home, but honestly, had a great trip. Wish it could have lasted longer, but back to regular life and back to work. Had a great one, and exhausting. I say that every single clip, but it's okay. Coming home with a lot more than I thought I would, but I don't think I wasted my money on anything. I think it's all things that I can use for a while, which is always the goal. To spend your money on things that you're going to actually get a lot of use out of, and things that are practical. So, thank you, Brian. Appreciate you, man. I hope you had a good time. I hope you had a good time. Yeah, dude. Like, we go to LA relatively often, but honestly, every single time is super, super different. We always do like incredibly different things, and this time, I'm happy to have recorded it, honestly. I definitely encourage people to maybe try vlogging, at least to document what they're doing. I mean, like, not put together a video to put on YouTube, but definitely to record what you're doing, especially in the moment. It's actually a whole lot of fun, and that's what I learned with vlogging, is that even if you're not great at being in front of a camera, just taking like clips, snippets of parts of your trip, I don't know. It's cool to watch back in the future and just kind of think back to it. Like, it kind of brings you back to that time, and it's like nostalgic. I know I mentioned nostalgia earlier in today's video as well, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Gonna try my best to make videos as often as I can. I'm not gonna really stick to like every 2 weeks like I did before, but I'll try to make them as often as I can, and I'll probably stick to putting them out on Sundays though. But don't hold me to that. I'll do my best to make the absolute best content that I can, and hopefully it's gonna be equally as entertaining as it has been, if not more. If you guys have any suggestions,
85, please, 85.
if you have any suggestions, if you have anything that you want me to fix, anything you want me to change, put them in the comments below, DM them to me. I'll see what I can do, I'll see what I can work with. I appreciate you guys. 85 is really, really, really ready.
85 ready for the food.
But if you guys would be so kind, like, comment, subscribe.
And number 85, get your hamburger. Thank you.
Oh yeah, 85, get it together. Thank you guys, I appreciate you. I hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.